Hello, 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 America. Welcome.
Morning.
Friday, April 3rd to Signs of Life. The American Awakening Squad is with you from around the country. Once again, as always, we're bringing you live music from Nashville and the greater Boston area as well. Who else does that? Multiple location, real-time live music. Fantastic. We're here every single day at 12:30 to tell you a couple of important things. God's got you. God loves you. We're going to make it through this thing together. And we also have a lot of fun together at the same time. So let's kick it off here with Josh Jacob, our house worship band. Josh, go ahead, buddy.
All right. Before I start worship, just want to say shout out to Bill Withers. Thank you for everything you've done. Rest in peace. Yeah. I feel like singing Bill Withers, but I'm going to stick to worship.
You're going to get a moment. You're going to get a moment in a second. Josh, we'll give you another shot, okay?
Oh, sweet. Cool. I love you, Lord, though your mercy never failed me. All my days have been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, the darkest night. You were closer like no other. I know you as a father. I know you as a friend. I have lived with the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. And I will sing of the goodness of God.
Thank you, Josh,
So good.
for getting us going.
Amen.
Everybody. Really
It's good.
appreciate it. And thank you for those that are out there that are worshiping with us today. Thank be to God for the day that we've got. Thank for the day to be with you all, both here and on the studio, so to speak, through Zoom. And for everybody who's out there, we want you to know that we keep you in our prayers. We gather in prayer every day as a team. We get together on a conference call and we pray for you all because we know these are tough times for everybody, but we're going to get through this. And we're going to get through this with the help of some friends that we're leaning on. A little bit of shout out there to Mr. Withers. First with Pastor Joel Searby in Gainesville, Florida. Pastor Joel, what do you got for us, friend?
Hey, John. Hello, everybody. And we're talking about community, and it's something that we talk a lot about. It can become a buzzword, this idea of doing life together, of being together. But I want to talk specifically today about kind of some of the deep foundations. We've got scientific foundations, we've got biblical foundations, we've got historical foundations, and we've got organizational foundations that point us to this fact that we need each other. You know, we're in this weird moment right now where you literally can live without leaving your house. And we're testing that hypothesis. You can have tacos delivered to your door. You can have your toilet paper if they've got any. You can have everything you need theoretically delivered to your door and never leave your house. You can even consume all the right information, all the right messages about who you are, about who God is. And that's part of what we're actually doing here is trying to give you right messages to help us think in right ways. But even with that, you can still be miserable. You can still lack this togetherness that we need and that our bodies and our minds and our hearts and our souls need. And I want to point us to kind of the foundational reasons why we believe that, not only here at the American Awakening, but as a long tradition of people who particularly who are seeking after God. You know, I believe that there is a God in the universe and that God actually exists in community, that there is a Father, Son, Holy Spirit, this crazy, mysterious communal life that is actually foundational to when God created us. He created us in God's image. And so therefore we have in us this need to also be in community. And when we're not, things just aren't right. And so not only that, but that has echoed through time in what we call the church, the people of God. And it also echoes in our relationships, our friendships, our marriages, all those kind of things that we're hearing about and that we know about. And so as we think about how do we do that in this time, I want to first of all, again, remind us there is a long history of foundation. Just because we have coronavirus and social distancing does not make that go away. We've got to figure out as the people of God, as people who love each other, how do we do community? How do we live in relationship together in this time? And that is an encouragement, and it's also a challenge. I want to give you a little bit of a practical word as we call this time our daily dose of some hope and truth and light. You can stay connected. And so my encouragement to you is that while we say we're this big body of people who love God, and together you're hearing my voice and you're saying, yeah, I'm part of that. We also need to know at the micro level, at the small level, how am I connected? And so today, my challenge to you and my invitation is reach out to one person that you know probably needs to hear from you, needs to get a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of hope. Maybe you pray for them. Maybe you just give them an encouraging word. You just remind them that you're there. There is great power in staying connected. And as we get through this together, just remember there is a long history, a long foundation of things that bring us together. That's my daily dose. Chew on that. John, back to you.
Oh, John, you're still on mute, bud. There you go.
All right, there we go. Thank you, Joel. Really appreciate that. I want to kick it over to Jeff now. Over to you, Jeff.
Yeah, that was so good, Joel. I love that. I just want to give another encouragement today for you guys and something to chew on. It's a little bit of a, I guess you could call it lighter thought or something I was just pondering on this morning. Doesn't have as much random facts with it as usual, but that's this concept of being comfortable with silence. And that's what I want us to chew on today. I think this space, this cultural moment is a time for that. I think we're all given a little bit more space, a little bit more time. And with that comes a little bit more margin for silence, a little bit more time to just be. And that's an interesting space to be in, but I want to talk about that. I think a lot of times we romanticize silence, meditative space, kind of getting these moments of pulling away, etc. But then the minute a lot of us try it, it's terrible, right? A lot of us try to get in some space where we can pull away, get away from our phones, get disconnected. We're either gnawed at our soul level with things that haunt us, with things that we don't want to think about, with pain, with grief, or we're immediately, ADHD. I actually am, if you can't tell already, a couple weeks into the show, and we jump to the things that are noisy, right? And we have an aversion to it. And so what I wanted to say is, one of my favorite quotes is Henry Nouwen, and he talks about silence, and he actually says, silence is where your self goes to die. And what he means is like your old self, where your old self goes to die. And there's parts of us that do need to die. There's parts of us that we want to leave behind us, but you have to understand that it is a place of crucifixion. It's not a place of, like, again, romanticizing beautiful and amazing. Now resurrection's on the other side, but you have to go through death first. And it's a practice. It's a practice. And so I just want to actually encourage people out there. I think a lot of us, because we think it's just going to feel good when we do it, and it doesn't, we're disenchanted. Rather than just like working out, just like anything, it's a practice. Start with 30 seconds today. Start with 2 minutes tomorrow. Do 5 minutes next week of just creating some space. Me as a follower of Jesus, I like to just think about, what does he say about me, right? What is he saying about me right now? What is he saying over me? And to sit in that, right? And to really listen to yourself and let God speak into that. There's this a thing called, what is it called? I always have a hard time pronouncing it. I think it's called anechoic chamber. And it's actually what astronauts use to train for the silence of space, because the silence of space is so deafening, to use an adjective like that, that it actually, they have to practice for it, right? It's so intense and so silent than what they're used to here that they actually have to practice for it. Now, you should go YouTube it, go Google it. It's fascinating. The rooms can actually get to negative decibels. And the record for how long you can stand in one of those chambers, I think, is like 40 minutes. So most people last like 30 seconds or a minute, because it's so intensely silent and different than anything they've ever heard. You can actually hear your tendons move inside you. You can hear your blood moving. You can hear your heart beating. You can hear when you blink. I mean, that's pretty crazy, right? But I think that's kind of a metaphor of what the place we actually want to get to. It takes practice, and then hopefully we can become more self-aware, just like you can hear the body parts moving, but that spiritually, as we sit in that space and let God speak over us. So chew on that. Can we use this space? Can we cultivate this space in this time we have right now to learn how to be comfortable in silence?
Thank you, Jeff. That is so compelling to me that I'm going to change up our lineup just a little bit in the conversation. We were going to get back to a topic which is really, really close to this in a little bit, the one we teased out yesterday about living in this moment, living in time. And now you're asking us about living in silence. And so if Marissa is ready to go, Marissa, you ready to go on that?
Yeah. On silence? Yeah.
Well, just a silence pivot to your discussion topic,
Yeah.
I feel the connection on that.
Yeah.
And I'll just say one thing for myself as we get you cued in here to launch us into the conversation. My ahead of the corona virus 8 weeks ago, well ahead of Lent even, but my commitment for this period of my life was to say, okay, I think I really need to start to learn how to spend just alone time in contemplative prayer, which is different from active prayer, which, I kind of was vaguely familiar with, or maybe I've been doing this my whole life, falteringly and with, great limitation and weakness and all that. But nevertheless.
No, John, you're a professional prayer. You're a professional prayer.
You tried, but anyway, but just this idea of just being still and knowing that God's God, mm-hmm. and not putting on a devotional or putting on even worship music or anything that's a catalyst or a stimulus to the experience of God, but rather the clearing out and knowing in that time that God can be enjoyed. And I was thinking about you this morning, Jeff. This kicks over to Marissa now. I was thinking of you this morning because I actually had a few minutes in my bedroom this morning looking at a beautiful painting by Mako Fujimura, who I'm a big fan of, and gorgeous. And I just said, you know what, God, let me just sit here. I'm just gonna sit and just like look and experience and not try to ratchet up some good ideas for the show, or not try to do the next thing and get our loan applications out there or whatever. I thought about the topic that we teased out yesterday and what Marissa's going to bring us to now, I think.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. There's Jeff. I love how stuff is flowing. Right. I'm glad nothing's choppy. Lord knows what He's doing. But yeah, what you teased out yesterday, and what definitely connects to what you're talking about today, this idea of time, right? And how in a lot of cases, especially before now, a lot of us have worshipped time. We've always been pushing to get stuff done, pushing to produce. We've got this pressure to always be moving, and how that is in direct contrast with this posture of being still, knowing that God is God, being comfortable in stillness with, our relationships, our families, our own lives, valuing the stillness that God comes close to. And we were really teasing that out, this idea of honoring our families and ourselves and God in this posture of stillness. And then John brought it to a place yesterday of where he again raised that beautiful name, one of the names of God, Emmanuel, God with us. And this idea that even when talking about time, this like gotta push, gotta move, gotta deliver, and how that can be in relationship with Emmanuel, God with us, time all in one, all of us together, like the peace and solace and stillness of God in time now. I was reading this morning, David Brooks, he had a really great piece in the New York Times. It's called Mental Health in the Age of Coronavirus. And this is what he says specifically. He writes, psychological health in times of crisis is like a wrestling match. The situation throws stressors at you. The question is whether your coping mechanisms are strong enough to overcome them. And then he also says, this is a moment that calls for deeper conversations and for emotional accompaniment. We're all going through something together. We'll be more resilient if we can see others experiencing it in the same way. So bringing all this together, I want to talk about how all of us are doing, just sort of real talk in this moment as we're here with our viewers, we're here with our listeners. How are we all trying to do this thing of living in the pressure of the chaos of now, but also living in the presence of Emmanuel, God with us, the stillness, the peace that God promises is there while everything's coming at us and there's a whole lot of loss and suffering and death around us. Guys, how are you doing?
That's good, Marissa. I'll jump in and give someone a minute to think. I think the one thing I'm learning in all this, and it ties to what you just talked about, what I talked about yesterday, is a really helpful way to bring the boots on the ground on this is how do you distinguish between sacred time and what I like to call commodified time, right? Now, so when something's a commodity, that means it becomes something that's transactional, which at some level is fine, depending on what it is. But it becomes transactional, meaning it's a product. You've turned something into a product, and we've turned time into a product where we have to give it, and then we have to get something out of that time. And I think to decommodify something means, and to make it sacred means that it can't be turned into a product, meaning it's okay to have time that feels like it doesn't give you any ROI. It doesn't give you any huge, measurable impact. It doesn't give you any huge thing that's worth 10x of what you wanted.
Return on investment for folks that don't follow these things. Return on
Exactly. But
you don't get something.
A lot of us think that time, we think about it like that, right? Where it has to, if I'm going to put in the time, then it better give me this. And I think, man, to keep time sacred means I don't want to use the word meaningless, but it means it doesn't have to have the worldly impact or ROI, return on investment, that we think it does. And so I think that's what I'm thinking about in this season of how do I just be in the time and it doesn't have to, have a product to it or an end goal.
Or at least one that you understand, right? Sorry about that.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's kingdom end goals and there's worldly end goals. Totally.
Right. I mean, this time with your family is right there next to you. They're right there next to you. You can't get away from them. Exactly. That notion that, we all know pouring into each other is going to get something back. Now, you might have to wait to see it. You might have to, Lord, show me how this
kingdom ROI.
That's right.
There's a kingdom return on investment. So, John, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to go back to the point you made before. We got this kind of a vertical axis. If you can see my hand, vertical axis, the horizontal axis, right? And the horizontal axis is the one we're all working. We're so naturally working in on the use of time, right? That's the commodification time. Like we're in this space, we're in the, in this world we live in. It's understandable, right? And we're fully embodied beings. We got bodies, we got to achieve, we got to subdue the earth, et cetera, et cetera. But this other one is that sort of vertical axis on this thing. It's hard. It's hard. The part that you said when you leading us in this conversation, Jeff, earlier, your comments before we got to Marissa's take, is how disturbing it is. It really is disruptive to your, our wiring is so eager to commoditize it, right? We're so eager to make it a commodity, to do something, to turn it into a unit of something else. And, but we're not made that way entirely. We're made that way in a way, but not entirely. And that's what you guys are calling us to.
That's good.
That is so good. You know what's interesting though? When we're talking about time, it's also how we're using time, right? Because like I'm actually, it's been actually hard for me in this moment, right? The tension of, while there are people hurting out there, while our neighbors are hurting, what do you do in this time, right? Are we spurred into action? Are we supposed to lean in? Are we supposed to start something? Are we supposed to, is it dropping off goods, or, are we supposed to do something right now? But it's interesting, Jeff, and what we're talking about now, we're actually kind of bringing up the point of just being, even the definition of Emmanuel is God with us. He's just being with us, and in that eternity. So I wonder if actually now, I think I can only speak for myself, but I know a lot of you guys pretty well. And I think all you guys are probably similar, but the challenge of wanting to do something right now, wanting to find a solution to a problem, when actually perhaps, what we can best offer, this Emmanuel in us, is actually to just be with people. Even with what David Brooks said, it's just the idea of going through something together, right? And just sitting with people in their pain, and not always offering solutions, which actually, honestly, for me is hard. It's hard sometimes to just sit in there with someone rather than try to find the answer.
That's marriage 101 right there. That's pretty much what I was going to say. Stop giving me answers. Just listen or sit.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's exactly that's where I was going with it. So my wife, Jen, and I had an argument 2 days ago. And if you have spouses, if you had spouses or even anybody, we're all fighting with each other right now at some level. All right, let's just be real. All right, you cannot be trapped in a space.
You guys have fights?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've heard of those. You can't be on the show then, man.
All right. Well, there we go. Welcome, everybody else out there. I'll come find you. All right.
Yeah.
No. So there's this idea that, we had this argument over this exact same thing, because there's this immediate push for certain people toward action and fixing things, and we're all sitting here feeling so freaking helpless right now about what do I do, and man, I don't have an answer, but I guess I'm just speaking it out. I'm with you folks out there who are feeling like, man, I want to fix this and I don't even know how, but I think there's also something going on that God is stripping away, because how many of us have put our self-worth and our value in what we're able to do.
That's right.
And when all of a sudden you can't fix it, you're like, all right, well, I guess I'll hop on Facebook and talk to people, And so there's just a real tension there, but I think God is up to something and stripping that away from us.
Totally. Hey, real quick, Aaron just popped in this quote that I thought was good. I don't know if you guys saw this in the comments yet, but I thought it was worthy of putting in today's episode. Aaron, thanks for putting that fire quote. Oh, there it is. Whoa. Was that Christian? You were ready for that. Yo, I wasn't ready for that. Listen to that. The inmost significance of the exaggerated value, which is set upon hard work, appears to be this: man seems to mistrust everything that is effortless. He can only enjoy with good conscience what he has acquired with toil and trouble. He refuses to have anything as a gift. That's so good. So good. And it's true. I think that's this part too, if we want to leverage or leapfrog or jump over rather than just receive this moment as a gift. And not that suffering is a gift, but sitting with people relationally in hard times, that is the gift. And I think we're not receiving that.
That's so real. Sometimes you just have a hard time understanding how to even be in a situation where you're like, wait, but I guess I didn't buy this, and I guess I didn't create this, and I don't really understand the terms here.
Yeah.
And how am I supposed to move in this? Something that could be amazing and a gift from God. But when you sometimes when you don't understand, okay, wait, but I didn't put the quarters in, so I'm not quite sure how to value this, or I'm not quite sure how to navigate this. It's very hard to sit in receiving God's blessing well. I just speak for myself. I mean, just, grace, right? What do you do with that,
Amen. So good.
JK, you are deep in thought.
Look at that furrowed eyebrow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
When the eyes basically
right.
become closed, they're squinting so much in thought,
You caught me. The visual is I get really serious in my eyebrows for early. I got it. All right. I got to do that on camera. I mean, it's this works on so many different levels, and I feel like we could talk about this, for forever. We got the one dimension, which is the receiving of the gift bit, which Aaron, thanks Aaron, shout out to you for offering that up to us. The gift that is being given to us, which we don't like to just accept, and then the sense of timelessness and of the transcendent eternal, which is the Emmanuel dimension and being drawn into to that sort of bit. And then there's the incarnational part of it, which Calvin was calling out. Calvin's calling out the part about, and Joel doubled down on, which is a bit about the one thing we can offer. Christianity is the only incarnational religion, right? Everything else got like belief, philosophy, transcendence. I mean, there's appeals to transcendent and all that. But we're the one faith which says, look, it's just about Emmanuel, God being with you. And so when we offer that to other human beings, you can't do that in some sort of disembodied way. Ultimately, I mean, you can be remote, you can be removed, but the whole law and the whole commandments is caught up by Jesus' words by this: love God, love your neighbor as yourself, and that is just being present to human beings, right? Not solving stuff, but just being present to them, because that's the ball game, right? So as you can tell, I can soar into the stratosphere on the abstractions of this one, but we're almost out of our book's time. Does anybody have any final word on this one?
I love when the episode just takes a little segue. That's how it should be. That's the spirit right there, just moving.
So So I want to bring this down and make it tangible here for a minute as we switch gears. We're going to get shortly to our handoff to our musical guests here. And we are just say it. We're just so thrilled to have Cindy Morgan with Dan Haseltine and Nash. The reality of this show is we'd never get people this good in regular times. So we're so grateful that we're taking advantage of this opportunity to have wonderful folks like Cindy join us and Dan join us regularly. Before we get there, though, let's just make this idea super tangible. We landed this big sort of idea of being. Receiving the gift of God. Just sit with that for 1 minute today, as Jeff told you. Just a minute. I mean, 30 seconds if a minute's too long, and then try it another 30 seconds or a minute later on, and then, as Joel said, translate it somehow or other to one act that you're doing for somebody else, because that's the way that God's love gets communicated to is this broken and fallen world. Is we sit with God, wait for His presence, and then we share it. Some form or fashion. So that's what we're trying to do here with you. That's why we show up every day. That's why we put a runner show together. That's why we get the studio producers together. That's why we get the music together. Is because we want to bring down a little bit of that God's presence into all of our lives, so we can share it out to you and say, we're with you guys. We're with you. We love you, and we're praying for you. A couple of words before we hand it off to Nashville. And speaking of loving somebody. A special birthday shout out to my special love of my life, Gene E. Kingston. And
hey, happy birthday, Gene!
Oh, happy birthday,
hey, Gene.
We love you, Gene.
We won't always do birthday shout outs here, but
when it's Gene, the Queen gets a birthday shout out.
Gene is so much a part of the team here that she feeds us food every day. She brings food for everybody, gets it distributed around. And, believe me, I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for her. I told a story yesterday about the fact that I wasn't so sure about whether we should be, keep on leaning into this moment. And on that call last Friday with those wonderful spiritual advisors and colossal figures, Jean was the voice in some respects of greatest authority, just saying, yes, go. American Awakening Daily, Signs of Life, this team right now, this is the time to do this. And that just is just one illustration of the many ways in which she is the inspiration for all that I do and so much of what the American Awakening team does. So thank you, Jean. Happy birthday. We all love you. Give her a birthday shout out somehow, everybody out there that's listening to us here. Okay, so now we're gonna keep shifting gears here a little bit. We customarily have the movie line of the day, but instead of going movie line of the day today, we're going to go to Nashville. We're going to get some music from our friends there, and then we're going to wrap this up, bringing it back home with somebody or other, either Dan or Cindy or Josh Jacob or somebody who's going to give us a musical shout out to Bill Withers. So to wrap us all up. So instead of movie line of the day, we're going to go the Bill Withers tribute. If you didn't hear, he did just pass away. And he's given us so much in so many different ways. So first to you, Dan, in Nashville. Thanks for being with us, brother.
Oh, so good to see you all here. Hello from Nashville. I recognize that I haven't gotten any of the food that Gene has been passing around here. I realize I've been missing out. So I don't know if you can ship donuts or how that works, but anymore. But that'd be good. And I had one comment. I'm not in the general feed, but when you guys were talking about we don't feel comfortable. It was that quote where we were talking about not feeling comfortable unless we really work for something. Over the last probably decade now, I feel like where that applies to me most is that I don't feel like I can drink coffee unless I pay more than $5 for it. So I just immediately went to the Starbucks spot and I was like, you know what? Coffee is pretty easy to make, but for some reason, unless I sacrifice way more money than I should, I don't really appreciate it as much. So anyway, that's just where my mind went. Anyway, back to Nashville here. We have a great special guest today. I'm just so amazed that she was willing to jump on. And I know, like John mentioned it, that there are seasons of time here now, since everybody's kind of quarantined at home, that we don't get to, we maybe have access to more people than we normally would. But as a gift, this was great. We've got Cindy Morgan with us. And I've known Cindy for a long time. I've known her music longer than I've known her, but I was mentioning to her earlier that when I was on my way up to go to college, I had her cassette tape in my 1985 Honda Prelude that I drove up to Illinois to go to college. Really found something in her music she was setting a higher standard in the songs that she was writing back then. Now, since way back then, she has done some amazing things. She's got 21 radio songs to her credit that she's written and co-written with other artists. She's been able to write and collaborate with Rascal Flatts, Ricky Skaggs, Amy Grant, Glenn Campbell. The list is long. Josh Garrels, Sierra Hull, Echo Smith, who's just a fantastic band that's just kind of jumped onto the scene. Vince Gill. So, she's an incredible songwriter. She's been just a huge part of the Nashville songwriting community. But on top of that, she has been doing just great advocacy work and support work around hunger and nutrition. And then most recently, what I found out about her, she's been doing these sessions where she's working to help female veterans who are challenged with PTSD to write songs and express and heal through music. Just an incredible thing. So I just wanted to introduce you all today to Cindy Morgan. Hi, Cindy. How are you today?
Hey, Dan. It's good to be here with you guys.
Yeah. You're outside. You're the first guest we've had that's actually taken it upon themselves to sit outside. And I love that.
Well, I think I'm a little shadowy, so I apologize for that. but it's a beautiful day here in Nashville. So it seemed it's probably a little risky, but you know, I guess we musicians like to live on the edge a little bit.
Good.
I hope someone doesn't start mowing their yard. So I don't know what we're gonna do if that happens.
It's all right. Well, we would love to. You're going to come and play some music for us. So I'm just going to let you go for it. I am super excited to hear you play and sing.
Thank you. All right. Well, this is a song. Earlier when you guys were talking about just like silence and you know, just for a lot of people this time, I was talking to one of my female veterans that you were mentioning, and she was saying that this time of isolation is really hard for folks who like suffer from any kind of depression or mental disorder or PTSD. And so, and this song that I want to play for you guys, it was really written about someone who found themselves in that kind of hard space of you know, of just struggling through some depression. And for me, it was a wake up call to just be aware of where people are at in my life. So, called Breaking Heart. These four walls seem ready again. It's like they know where the weak point is. So I sit and stare. Dirty dishes stacked up in the sink. Speak a word and you're out on the brink of a giant too. And you wait and you wonder and you push against the dark. Every day going under, wishing someone felt the beat of that breaking heart. The devil whispers that he's your friend. He comes calling when the door's unhinged. Will you let him in? He's in the pathway, going up through the storm. The neighbors wonder if anyone's home since the lights went down. And you wait and you wonder and you push against the dark. Every day going under, wishing someone felt the beat of that breaking heart. Wait for rescue, pray for a sign, for someone to read your mind. Oh. And you wonder and you push against the dark. Every day going under, wishing someone fell, someone fell. Beat of your breaking. The devil whispers that he's your friend. He comes calling when the door's unhinged. Will you let him in?
Woo!
Yeah. Well done. Awesome. So
That's
good.
awesome.
Yep. It's what I remember. I remember your voice, and just powerful, incredible voice. So stunning.
Can I ask you a question, Dan?
Yeah, please.
It's a really silly, simple question, but when I hear somebody sing like that, I wonder. I always think to myself, what does it feel like to sing that well? What does it feel like to have a voice that like gives people so much joy?
Well, Dan, you should be able to answer that.
Yeah, I'm going to let you take that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that everyone who ever listens hates it. That's the irony. It's like, oh my God, you know, you hate to hear your own voice. So,
yeah.
Even you guys hate to hear your own voices.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's real. Yeah.
Not as much as my kids hate to hear my voice, but no, I'm joking. They love my voice all the time. Anyway, how are you holding up there, Cindy? Like, has this been a creative season for you? This time, like being able to just sort of hold up. What has it been like for you?
You know, I think it's been good. Like my daughter, I've got a daughter in college. She goes to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design. And so she's home, you know, all her classes are online. And then my other daughter has some, you know, classes online for dual enrollment. And I've got some classes online. And so I think we all, you know, having both of them here with me, I mean, I have a lot of cooking to do. I just want y'all to know. But I'm cooking a lot and doing a lot of dishes and gardening, but you know, it's been good. And I mean, every night we try and really be conscious about praying for the medical folks and people are just on the front lines and that, you know, this is probably not a great experience for them, but anyway, we've been grateful for the time together as family.
So good. Yeah, I feel like that's a huge thing, like to not miss it too, right? Like we all would have the tendency to sort of hold up and do our thing and kind of get so concerned about creating our patterns and our rhythms that fit with our work. And then we're going to wake up and be like, oh, we were just stuck in a house as a family together for a good long season and we kind of missed it. Yeah. And I think you're sort of tapping into that, I would say, to say like, you know what, being intentional, even if it's just at some point during the day to just huddle up and check in. I think we're all going to come hopefully away from this with much deeper roots and in the way that we, you know, spend time with family. So anyway, I think you're right. Good.
Yeah. Yesterday I went to the park to walk and I saw like, you know, families that were riding horses and riding their bikes. And I thought this would only happen in the summer. So I don't know. And even then I think it's often too hot. So even like the gratefulness that it's happening in spring, you know, where the weather's nice and the families are trying to be outside and be together. So I guess we're grateful for what we can be grateful for.
Yes. Good. Well, do you have another song?
Yeah. And I wanted to, this is from a song from the cassette that you mentioned.
Really? Good. Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Cassette says it all pretty much. But anyway, this is originally written on piano, but I can't get that out here on the porch. So, but anyway, and I so appreciated what Jefferson was saying about silence and, man, just so good. But all right, so this is a song for me that I don't know. It just keeps teaching me. There's nothing like the warmth of a summer afternoon. Waking to the sunlight, being cradled by the moon. Catching fireflies at night, building castles in the sand. Holding mom's face goodnight and holding daddy's hand. Thank you, Lord. How could I ask for more? Running barefoot through the grass, a little hide and go see. Being so in love that you can hardly. And dancing in the dark when there's no one else around. on bundled knees, covers watching snow fall to the ground. Thank you, Lord. How could I ask for more? So many things I thought would bring me happiness. Some dreams that are realities today. Such an irony, the things that mean the most to me, while the memories that I made along the way. So if there's anything I've learned from this journey we are on, simple truths will keep you going. Simple love will keep you strong. There are questions without answers, and flames that never die, and heartaches we go through often, blessings in disguise. So thank you, Lord. Oh, thank you, Lord. Ooh, how could I ask for more?
Yeah, beautiful.
So good.
Gorgeous.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Yep. Great
Love
to
that.
I'm so glad you joined with us today. Thanks, Cindy.
I'm glad.
Enjoy your Nashville day. Yeah.
All right. You guys too.
All right.
Yeah.
So wait, before we say goodbye,
Right.
we've got the Bill Wither tribute. So
Oh.
we've got somebody here who
Oh,
can
boy.
do us the tribute. I know Josh is ready and armed.
Josh is ready,
no.
I think.
Josh?
No one ever
Yeah.
hears
Yeah,
Dan.
man.
Oh, man.
Let's get Dan in on this, seriously.
All right.
Do it,
I don't
Josh.
know.
Do it, Josh. You got it.
Josh,
I think Josh should
Yeah,
do it.
Josh, I feel
but,
like you got this, man.
people want Josh.
We'll join
All right,
in.
Josh.
Yeah, well.
Hold up. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm if she's away. Ain't no sunshime when she's gone. She's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. All right, someone else chime in.
Wait, no, that's I wonder this time when she's gone.
Next up, baby.
I wonder if she's gonna stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's always gone too long. Every time she goes away.
No, I know, 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 I know. And I won't leave this thing alone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Oh, it's so good. That's what we got. That's good.
Fantastic. That is fantastic. Thank you
Just brings
so
us
much.
joy.
Thank you, Bill Withers, for what you gave to us, and God for bringing him to
Yes,
us
indeed.
a better place. And thank you all out there. I'm grateful for you being with us. We're so thrilled to have you every day that you join us. Reminder that you can not only see us on live stream now, you can also see us on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. And finally, we're on podcast now everywhere, every single platform, 5 days a week. Next week, going to 6 days a week. And we're launching big with Relevant next week. You look for us in Relevant and all your podcast providers. Thanks so much. God bless you. Have a wonderful day and have a great weekend. Bye now.